Hello YouTube, MDEX Music here, and welcome back to another episode of Upper Structure Fridays, Season 2, where we're going to explore the use of upper structure quartals for jazz improvisation and piano voicings. If you're not familiar with upper structures, I strongly suggest you check out Season 1, which is available now as an entire course featuring interactive PDFs, demos, and much more. You can click on the link here or just check the description down below. Also be sure to watch the introduction to this series where we explain both what quartals are and how we're going to use them to create new colors in music. Today, we're going to look at a perfect quartal starting on the flat third of a dominant 7 chord. It will be notated like this: flat 3, 4, 7 over dominant 7. Another great upper structure to use to alter a dominant chord sound in any key. Today's upper structure quartal is going to introduce 3 tensions into our voicing, and all of them will be altered. So let's do that. Let's build our upper structure on top of A7 again, like we did last week, because we're going to use Israel again, like we did last week, to make our point. So here's my A7. The flat 3 of A is C natural, and I just stack perfect fourths on top of that. I'll get an F and a B flat. So my upper structure quartal is this, and my voicing on my left hand is this. And when I put them together, the color we're gonna get is this. To construct this upper structure, we simply play a perfect quartal over a dominant 7 chord, starting on the flat third of that chord. For example, in A7, the flat 3 is C. So we simply have to play a C perfect quartal on top of A7. We now have an A7 with a flat 9, a sharp 9, and a flat 13. And as with last week's upper structure quartal, this also produces an altered sound, only slightly more colorful since it has both the flat 9 and the sharp 9 and the flat 13. Here are the ways that you can think about this quartal. Play a perfect quartal starting on the flat third of the chord. For a more independent perspective, just think a minor third above the root and play the perfect quartal on that note in any inversion. This upper structure quartal works really well on minor keys or dominants that target a minor chord. It takes advantage of the availability of both altered 9s in a dominant chord. If a dominant chord contains a flat 9, then we can always add a sharp 9 and vice versa. It's also a great upper structure quartal to use on dominant chords that show altered in their chord symbol. So let's compare today's upper structure quartal to last week's. And if you remember last week, we did a perfect 4-7 quartal on the 7th degree of this same A7 chord that we have down here, and it sounded like this. Or if I invert it, same sort of tense sound, different color. Today's sounds like this. So like we said earlier, it offers us that extra tension. Now, I won't speak to whether this last week's is more tense than this week's, because I think there's some subjectivity involved when it comes to labeling this more dissonant or this more dissonant. Things like what your perspective is, what informs you, the range that we're doing this might sound completely different if we're in a different key. So I'll leave that to you. All I will say is that this offers us another option and gives us a different hue of the same tone. So again, last week's had 2 tensions. We had G, C, and F, and this week's offers us 3 altered tensions: C, F, and B flat, as it relates to the A7 that I'm playing in my left hand. Another way of looking at today's upper structure quartal is that it's kind of an extension of last week's. If I took that G, C, F, and then extended it up another perfect fourth, I have that B flat that we're using today. So take it with a grain of salt. Like I said, whether it's more tense or more, dissonant or less. The point is, it's another approach to resolve that chord back to the one of the key that we're in. So let's do that. Let's take today's upper structure quartal and resolve it to the minor one of the key that we're in, like we did last week, and see what that sounds like. So here was last week's, excuse me. Still get that nice resolution. Here is this week's. Nice. The whole point is that you look at upper structures from different perspectives. Each perspective will open up different doors, and any of these ways of thinking is useful. All right, here we go. Time for your upper structure challenge of the day. See if you can picture the perfect quartal that goes on the flat 3 of the given dominant 7 chord. We'll give you 4 beats to answer, and then we'll show you whether you were right or not. A7, C4-7, B7, D4-7, D flat 7, E4-7, E flat 7, G flat 4-7, F7, A flat 4-7. Well, there it is, another episode of Upper Structure Fridays in the books. Thanks again for joining us. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It's really helpful. We're gonna leave you today with our demo of the perfect quartal on the flat 3 of a dominant 7 chord. Enjoy.